And now for a riveting episode of CSI Beehive. This episode on CSI Beehive, our investigators, Detective Buzz and Honey, will be on the job solving the honey heist. Earlier this morning, the bees in the colony awoke to see that they had been robbed. Upon further investigation, it was found that the frames had been cleaned of their honey. Most of the honeycomb appeared to be intact, but pieces were missing, and the precious larvae were lost. Who could have done this? Let's look at our suspects. Our first suspect is Mrs. Lizard. She's been sitting around in hive entrances looking mighty suspicious lately. Could she have stolen the honey? Here's an initial sketch of the crime as it may have occurred. Mrs. Lizard could have waited by the entrance until the coast was clear and then ran to snatch this sweet reward. Let's look at our next suspect, though, before we draw conclusions. Our next suspect is Mr. Toad. Quite the sketchy fella. Witnesses have seen him walking around the hive entrance at night. I wonder, what was he up to there? Here's the preliminary sketch of how the crime occurred again. Mr. Toad would only have to wait around at night for so long until the entrance was empty. Then he'd have a way to sneak in undetected. So which of these two are guilty? Wait, there's a problem with our line of thought here. Both lizards and toads wait outside the beehives, but it isn't for honey. Based on the past attempted homicide charges these two have racked up, it seems like they were after the bees in the hive, not the honey. These guys are slimy characters, but they're not our perps this time. How about the black bear we brought in for questioning? He seemed to have a hankering for honey. From his record, it seems like he prefers bees as food. He's ruined honeycomb before, though, trying to get to larvae. But when he gets his hand on honey, he's not one to say no. Here's the preliminary crime scene sketch. The black bear wouldn't have to sneak up at all. He would endure numerous stings in order to get the food he craves. The next suspect lined up is the infamous honey badger and his accomplice, the honey guide bird. These two make quite the partnership. The honey bird plans the heist, gets the honey badger keen to it, then leads him to the hive for a buffet. Once again, we have a preliminary sketch of the crime. Here the honey guide bird has his partner, the honey badger, and leads him to the scene, where he digs into the hive and retrieves the precious honeycomb filled with food for both him and the honey bird. Wait a minute. Once again, something doesn't feel quite right about these two scenarios. Both these guys are sloppy. They don't have the organization to sneak into a sleeping hive, take almost only the honey. They leave a messy trail usually. No, this guy was intelligent. He was able to be in and out quick and quiet enough to do all this before the colony awoke. Who could this be? Alright, let's look at our last suspects, the human beekeeper and the honey guide bird. Once again, the honey guide bird seems to be able to play a part in this elaborate scheme, and we know the human beekeepers can be much less destructive to the hive. In our scene sketch, we can see that the honey guide bird would lead the human to the hive, where they can collect the honey. As a sign of good faith, the human will usually leave out some comb for the bird to eat larvae from as well. And looky here, further evidence. We found the smoking gun. It's a smoker outside the hive. Who would use such a contraption other than the human beekeeper? That must be why the bees didn't sense the intruder. The smoke masked their alarm pheromones. Well, looks like this case is all wrapped up. Our person will be prosecuted to the fullest extent of the hive law, and you better believe they'll be put behind bars.